Topic of my presentation is Pottery of Vidarbha and a new perspective. Uh, Actually, there is nothing new in it. I am talking about it for last almost 10 years. But definitely it is not known to everyone in on and off I presentation and conference. This particular platform more suitable for it since most of the scholars who are involved in this workshop, webinar, those are working on Iron Age or megalithic problem. So I hope I will be able to give and get some new ideas from it from all of you. Uh, this is a map of Vidarbha, and you can see in it excavated sites. So here, if you can see a cursor, so Nagpur is here, and all around this, and these are the boundaries of Nagpur district. So most of the excavated sites we see are located in Nagpur district, so near close to Nagpur. The well-known sites of this Iron Age from this region is Takalghat Khapa, then Raipur, Agimari, Mahurjari, Naikund, then Adam is there. So these are the well-known sites. Then there is site of Khairwada, which is in Wardha district towards west of Nagpur. And then Kaundinyapur. Here, here I expect that you will get an idea about the location of these sites. I am going to speak in the about pottery of this period Iron Age in the context of three sites. One is Khopdi, so it is here, which is close to one of the very well-known site, extensively excavated Iron Age as well as early historic site, where for the first time Vidarbha Chalcolithic period was identified. That is the site of Adam. It is Khopdi is just around 13 kilometers uh, north northwest of Adam. Then we will be looking at the site of Fuggaon. So, and just we will say in comparison to rest of the sites, how pottery of Fuggaon is similar. And then we will move to the site of Kolhapur. Kolhapur, which belongs to period 4th century BC onwards. So here there are different phases and different phases of habitation at different places. So though it is one site, but different phases of occupation can be seen at different places. Uh, so how on the basis of it, we will try to understand what are the differences in um, pottery of different sites or a group of sites and what it implies. What is the significance of this difference? That way we'll try to understand. And definitely you can also help at the end in giving fresh some inputs regarding it. In general, the kind of pottery is recovered from Iron Age or which is also recognized as megalithic period in the Vidarbha region that consists of painted black on red ware. So I have put different wares here, and along with that, at which sites those wares are present, and that has been noted down. So painted black on red ware is one of the most common ware of this period. Variety of paintings occur in it. So in these are basically black on red. Then some white paintings, white on red or white on black, such kind of variations can also be seen. But overall, the pattern of decoration is same. Then black burnish ware, black and red ware, tan slipware, tan ware. Now, tan slipware and tan ware are part of, as well as matte red ware, and these are part of red slipware. Just because of some variation in surface treatment, this has been a little difference in color of it. This has been recognized as different wear. We can even put it under same wear, that is red slip wear. Medium thin mica coated red wear is there. Then coarse red wear, red slip wear, micaceous red wear. Now, red slipware has been identified only at the site of Paunar. However, the site of Paunar doesn't bear any evidence of Iron Age. It is basically pre-Iron Age deposit. But still, I have included it over here. It is specifically because it will help us in understanding what kind of pottery is there during pre-Iron Age period. I have not put pictures of all these wares. So micaceous red ware is one of the most common pottery, and it is the characteristic pottery of Iron Age as well as megalithic period of this region. So we may say that, and it contains profuse quantity of mica. So on surface as well as in fabric, we can say it has been used profusely. And since we say that there is a region in Vidarbha, so east of Nagpur, if we go, whether it is southeast or northeast, any part of it, even Naikund and that entire region, the kind of geographic formations are there here. Those contain lot of mica. And because of that, then mica readily comes in the fabric of this region. But then we can see that there is difference in some pottery which profusely contain mica, and then there is pottery which does not does not contain equal amount of mica. So it is very little mica is there. So intentionally, variation has been made by potters, and only specific kind of pottery contain high amount of mica. We will see what kind of pottery. So here we, my concentration here or my focus here is to look at rim and neck features. Generally, when we discuss about variation in pottery, we specifically discuss about wares. What kind of difference is there in wares? And then we go to paintings. What kind of decorative features are there? Decoration differences in decorations are there, or is it black on red, or then is it black on red, or then white on red, white on black? And such kind of variation we try to understand. But we never look at the common pottery or utilitarian pottery, uh, which is abundantly available at any site. That is less we pay very less attention towards is only most of the times often we draw it and give drawings of it in the report. But what kind of, and does it has any significance apart from functional aspect, that we never try to understand. So that is the focus of my study. My objective here is to understand what kind of differences in these rim forms are there at different sites. So we see the basic nature of these rims. It is acutely outturned. In all rims we can see uh, the basic feature of rim is flaring rim. So this is a flare feature and acutely outturned, and then at top, some kind of variation is made. So sometimes in this particular one, we see that there is no variation. In this one, we see that internally it is thicker at the top. Then in this one, T479-79, we see it is externally thickened. Then beside the one which is beside it, it is a square kind of rim which is thickened on both sides. Then T30, it indicates also same feature. It is thickened on both sides, but it is a triangular rim. Then T219 and the other one, these are basically micaceous redware pottery. So the earlier which all shapes which we discussed. Now there are a variety of other shapes in it. We will be seeing that. Uh, and this basically comes in red slipware. I have put it in broader category of red slipware. So we will be not considering it as tanware or then any other kind of ware which has been identified at different sites, because these are basically variations of red slipware. So to the other side, we see as it is in T2 dash 19 and the other one. These are micaceous redware rings. So it is it is also having same kind of feature. It is a flaring rim, acutely outturned, then and then tapering towards end or from both sides, uh, or conical towards end and conical lip. And in other case, it is a hooded rim. So variation of these rims can be seen, and these are the only kind of rim that we come across in micaceous redware. There are no other kind of rims are available in this ware. The rims which we are, rest of the rims which we are seeing here. So there is uh, no reason to discuss about micaceous redware, because it is same in at all the sites. So we will be trying to see variations which is there in red slipware. Black and red ware, black slipware, black, and those also is not, we will be not discussing, because very specific kind of shapes are there in it. Those are basically bowls, dishes, and some globular pots are also there. Small size globular pots are also there. But then those are also common in all periods, at all the sites. This is again the map of Nagpur district, so you can understand it in a more better ways, location of each site. And now we will be seeing pottery of Khopri. Now, why Khopri is important here for us? Because at Khopri, we get continuous sequence from pre-Iron Age to later period, pre-Iron Age to Iron Age. A similar kind of sequence is also available at the site of Adam. But then the kind of data we require for our study, that kind of data we don't get from the report of Adam. And therefore, our focus is on the site of Khopri. Here you can see different rim forms, and those has been given numbers. So these are type numbers. Type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Uh, yeah, 7. The seventh one, you see it is thickened, it is same kind of rim. It is acutely outturned neck, it has, then flaring rim, and head is internally thickened. We had seen in previous picture also similar kind of rim from Takagar. At this side, at Khopri, we see this type 7 start to occur from layer number 6. So it is from 180 centimeter upwards. This rim is present. There is no occurrence of it in lower levels. So here we see there are bowls. Type number 1 is bowl or dish, in that category it goes. Then type 2, it is basically a stand, not a stand, uh, it is also a kind of dish. Then a rest of the rims, if you see. Now fourth one, it has acute outturn, but it doesn't have proper a flaring rim. It is a convexly flaring rim. It doesn't have proper flaring. Then 5 and 6, these are not at all flaring. These are very different kind of rims. So the presence of rim number 5 and 6, as well as type number 4, we can see here, these are confined to lower levels. So type number 5 is present up to only layer number 7. Above that it is absent. Then type number 4 and 6, it is present only up to 5 number layer, and it is totally absent above it. And in overlapping phase, in uh, overlapping to it, we say type number 7 has been introduced. So it overlaps with type number 4 and 6. So it starts in layer number 6, and then it continues upwards, and in large quantity it is there. The kind of various rim forms which we saw in previous in this one. So from this, only the left first T64D is present there, and rest of the rim forms, yeah, T14 is there also, and rest of the rim forms are absent. So only in above levels from in globular pod we are talking about, in globular pod, or then storage jars in that, from red slip where only this particular type is there, no other rim forms are available. And then about micaceous redware, since we are not greatly concerned in this presentation with it, still I will to just have an idea, provide some information about it. Micaceous redware, which are having a flaring rim, so these all form types belongs to micaceous redware except type 8, and type 8 is available only up to one layer number 5. It is not there above it. And in overlapping layer number 5, we see the type 9 has started. So flaring rim, this kind of feature has started, a long flaring rim. This feature starts, and apart from that, then basins are also there in this, and those also starts at later phase. So whatever kind of micaceous redware, which we generally consider um, as the characteristic feature of Vidarbha Iron Age or megalithic culture, it is not there in pre-Iron Age period. It starts at the transition phase. So at this site, we have iron only in the levels of layer 4 and 3. It is absent in lower levels. And since it is absent in lower layers, we are calling it pre-Iron Age. And since there is no presence of copper or lithic artifacts, we are not preferring it to term as chalcolithic phase. So that is the reason. So in general, and this is a kind of feature we are observing. Now, the kind of type number 7 we are seeing, as I said, it is the only type at this site during Iron Age. And if we move to Nikon, there also only this form of rim is visible, and there is no presence of rest of the rim forms which we have seen in earlier slide. So let's see the distribution of different rim forms at different sites. Yeah, it is just to give an idea. Uh, in pre-Iron Age phase at Pawnar. There also we are seeing almost similar kind of rim forms along with black and red ware um, as it is present at the site of Khopri. So Pawnar is almost 100 kilometers west of, I am giving very approximate distance. So it is almost 100-kilometer west of Khopri. So in that large area, and it doesn't come in Wainganga Basin. Rest of the sites comes in Wainganga Basin. However, this particular Pawnar comes in Wardha Basin. It is on Dham River near Wardha. So there also we see this similar kind of rainforms are present as we see at Khopri. So it is not confined to this earlier phase, pre-Iron Age phase, in which a specific kind of rims we are getting. These are not confined to one single site, but it is there in entire region. That's something we can say on the basis of it. So here I have put name of sites and rim types. So KPD is Khopdi, NKD, Naikund, then Naikund megalithic. Because why I have separated it megalithic from habitation? It is basically because often scholars says that there is different there is maybe difference in the pottery which has been used in burials, and that is their in habitation. But to show that there is nothing like that, I have separated information of burials as well as habitation. So Khopdi is there, Naikund habitation, Naikund megalithic, Takarghat, then Khapa is again megalithic site, burial site, Gangapur, Mahurjari, and Raipur. Only these sites we have selected here, and it is because the report for these sites is available. So we see that type number, in sequence, number 3. The type number 1 and 2, this belongs to, as I said, pre-ionization. And there one or the other ring is available. As we see, type number 3 in sequence. Large number of such rings are reported from Nikon. However, if we look at number 2, only one rim is there. Since collecting data for the kind of study we are discussing was not the objective of excavators at that time, we don't say detailed information about each and every rim form. And because of that, some kind of limitations are there in here. But we may say that if only one rim is and no variation in it are reported, that means only probably it is very rare at the site, or only one rim is there of this particular type. But the site of Nikon does have these two rim forms, which we have identified at Khopri belonging to pre-Iron Age period. Then at type 3, we saw that it starts within pre-Iron Age period, and then it is the only type continuing or present in Iron Age at the Khopri. And it is common again, it is the only kind of rim type present at Nikon in globular pot category of red slipware. Now here it has been called micaceous redware, as because since it contains mica in it. But we need to consider the percentage of mica is there in it. Since, as I said in the beginning only, this region, the geological formation of this region is full of mica, and because of that, occurring mica in fabric is a very common phenomenon. So we need to look at whether it has been added intentionally or it is there because of just the using clay from that region. So I believe that it has not intentionally added Nikon. So we see Nikon. At Nikon it is there. At Takalghat Kappa it is there. So it is there in phase 1A. So first phase of the site in lower level, and then it is also there in phase 1B. And then we see a rest of these all ring forms. So a variety of ring forms you can see here. Those and this definitely does not match with the rim form of number 3, which we saw in previous, which is there at Kopdi uh, as well as at Naikund. Only the fourth one. So these all rim forms are totally absent at the site of Kopdi at Naikund. Naikund megalithic site, and it is there at Takarghat, Khapa, Gangapur, Mahurzari, Raipur, and it is not there at the first one, fourth one which we see. It is from phase 1B at the site of Takarghat. So here we can clearly see the difference of rainforms that are present at different sites. So we can, on the basis of it, then we will see other rainforms also. So here basically we are saying, and here are some other rainforms. So and these are the all different kind of rainforms we come across during this period. In Vidarbha region in red slipware category, globular pot red slip category. So here also we see these different rim forms are not there at Kopri, Nikon megalithic, and in fact we also see these are absent at Takarghat. It is there at Khapa, Gangapur, Maurjari, Raipur. Now why it is absent is it is present at Khapa but absent at Takarghat, since Khapa is considered as part of Takarghat only. That is and that is a question we need to and need to be addressed. But let's go ahead first, and then let's move to Phupgaon. In Phupgaon also we are seeing almost similar kind of rainfall. Phupgaon, as I ensured, it is located on Purna River near Tulzapur Gari, close to Tulzapur Gari. Tulzapur Gari is the easternmost. Tulzapur Gari is the easternmost extent of the Malwa and Jorbe culture. So it is in Purna Basin, and just 4 kilometers downstream from it, we have the site of Phupgaon, which was excavated very recently by ASI Nagpur Excavation Branch under the supervision of Nihil Das. So similar kind of rim forms we are seeing at this site also, which are present at Takarghat Kappa or then the that group of sites. But the rim form which we see at Kopri or then Naikon, those are absent here also. And then let's move to Kolhapur. Kolhapur is further downstream on same river, Purna River. And here, as in the beginning, only I said we get continuous sequence from 4th century BC to uh, second, third century CE. And here we see very different kind of rim forms compared to any earlier. And the most noticeable point is the neck. In earlier phase, and at earlier sites, we saw the neck is acutely outturned and having rim edge flaring. So long flaring rim with some modification at the end of it. That kind of feature we saw. But here we are seeing concave neck. So this concave neck feature is added, and then these are quite thick. Then having very different kind of modification at the end compared to earlier period, and along with this type of change, we also have rim forms in third row. You can see which represent to flaring rim form. And then the kind of internal thickened. So as I had said, the type 4 which we had saw in table, that type 4 in this particular one where the cursor is, this represent to that type 4. So it is quite oblong compared to the kind of at Khopri during IMH. So these are different from that. Uh, and then other reforms. And so this again shows the similar kind of layering nature and some modification at the end, and then basins at the bottom. Along with, so it shows the kind of overlapping phase. There are features of earlier period which are continuing here at the site of Kolhapur, and some new reforms has been introduced. Along with that, we see the firing technique. So in previous period, in Iron Age, basically, uh, instead of saying previous period, just we will say that in Iron Age, we see that the pottery is insufficiently oxidized. So core is complete. We find that core or section of the pottery is completely red. Invariably, it is not red. Sorry, black. So it is invariably black, and surface is irregularly red. So we see blotches of black on it. So variation in, and there is variation in shade of red color. So the standardized firing technique is not the present, and same kind of pattern we see continuing in later period at this site. Only difference is there are variation in rim forms. So and then if we move to next phase, there that is early historic. Now this pottery at Kolhapur is coming from the period of 4th century BC. In Vidarbha, we consider the beginning of early historic period from 3rd century BC. So if we consider that from 8th century BC or 9th, 10th century BC, beginning of 1st millennium BC, up to around 3rd century is a period of Iron Age. Then there we see at different sites different kind of rim forms. Means there are group of sites where variation in rim forms can be seen. So there is group of site which include like Khopri, Naikund, Adam, and these are the group of sites. And then other group of sites which include Takargat Khapa, Mahorsari, Raipur, Gangapur, and these group of sites. And then along with that, similar kind of rims are there at Kaundanipur as we saw, and Phupgaon as we saw earlier. So it indicates that there are two, and this third one is Kolhapur. Now, Kolhapur, which uh, showing variation in pattern, difference in pattern. Now, why such kind of difference is there? At Khopri, we see from pre-iron age to iron age continuous sequence is there. Similar kind of sequence is not there at Takagat Kappa or other places. And those purely belongs to Iron Age period or megalithic period. That means there probably is a chronological difference in size. So probably Nikon and Khopri, these represent two earliest phase. Then comes the group of sites such as Takagat Khapa, Gangapur, Raipur, Mahursari, Kaundanyapur, Phobgaon, and then transition phase from Iron Age to early historic period, which is represented in the lowermost level of Kolhapur, which belongs to 4th century BC. So such kind of difference. Uh, so my observation is that these differences are basically because of the differences in period. One may say that these differences represent to regional variation, but then that need to be confirmed by excavating some pre-iron age site uh, from the west of Nagpur region, where basically Takagat and rest of the sites are available. Second, the kind of rainforms we are observing at Takagat and group of sites, those are present right from Purna to Wainganga or Nagpur. So in large region, the similar, let's go to map. So from Phobgaon here to Nagpur, in this entire region, same kind of rainforms we are observing, and just this particular portion, Naikond and Khopri, this particular eastern part, here some difference is there. So if such kind of regional variation is there, then probably it leads to another kind of problem to us. That is why these are confined to specific only up to Nagpur, and this has no spread east of it. When it has spread almost in such a large region of 200 kilometers or something like that. So uh, largely, my interpretation is that this variation must be representing to um, chronological differences inside. Definitely, it needs to be confirmed with more work, uh, and that is all. Thank you.